things, stuff like that. So I will be monetizing it, but just in the way that it's supposed to go. So I started a Q&A question and answer. So it's going to be on the right hand side for the live streams, just in case you guys want to, comment stuff like that. You can always do it in the comment section down below. And for YouTube, I know that you guys monetize everything. I know Steph and Andy make sure not to offend anybody's ears, so I won't be, you know, doing that. Just to make sure. So there will be no more like kid stuff, right? It'll be for everybody, but for the as the instance where if you want to comment stuff like that, then you will be able to. So today will be chapter 5 of my book, Orchard. I am actually starting an audiobook of Orchard if you guys are illiterate, meaning that you can't read and write. Just for anybody out there who does not know, if you do know, you will be able to also listen to it if you don't have any time to read and stuff like that. So, um, okay, here we go. Chapter 5. Orchard's next roommate was another female. She was a mama's girl. Both her and Joy would soon find out about this the hard way. Anything that happened would be reported to Tony's mother, Tiffany. The very first night that Tony moved in, Tony made an impression, a super mongo big one. She didn't have any social skills. The first night they had a little weird little powwow. So the first time somebody came in, right, they were, she came in, right? Her name was, what was her name? Micah. There you go. Micah. Micah wanted to date Albert so badly that she decided to pop her bra out in front of him because that's how she interpreted a guy liking her. That is not the way you do stuff like that. If you want to get with a guy, don't be trying to be sexual the first time you meet them. That just seems to me like they are a hose and just not actually knowing exactly how to communicate. It's a very bad way to communicate because people will think that you have a mental issue. So that's what I thought she had, right? Clearly, I guess she did. Um, Everyone was sitting on the floor in the front room, and Tony popped her bra off in front of Joy and Orchard. That pow ended really quick. So Albert Legg was like, I'm out, right? She thought she was so cute. She thought that by doing this, popping off her bra, he would try to, probably throw himself onto her because I guess she's never actually had any guy say no to her. Although, according to the rules of Albert, she was really creepy. So she did that. He left. I went to my room. That was the end of the powwow, right? Okay. That was very, very weird. And it just terminated the relationship between the three of us. She thought I was a sister and she thought I would share Albert because I guess that's what her other boyfriends, I guess, did. They shared each other. I guess I I won't share anybody if I'm with them. I won't share because A, that's gross, and B, it's very germy. I won't do that. But if anybody else decides to do that, well, you know, good on them. I guess that's what they want. So, you know, she thought that Joy would like this and want to go to her room and have sex with her. Later, they would find out that she had a crush on Joy, and this was her first move. The very first night? Really, girl? Really? I mean, seriously, it was her first night there, and she thought she was going to get into some guy's pants? That's fast. That's a fast girl. Tony always got what she wanted, but not this time. Tiffany had told Garland Company that she was a girlfriend stealer. I changed it to girlfriend stealer in here, but she was actually a boyfriend stealer. She knew that girls will be with guys, but she'll try to go in there because she felt like, well, I'm a woman, so I have more body because I have more butt or boobs or something other than this other person does. So they'll like me more and they won't actually want to date that person. So I guess she's been a homewrecker before and they have had to keep moving her because the ex girlfriend or somebody would comment on it. And I guess, I don't know, speculation. I have no idea before or after. I just know that with her being at the apartment that she was a homewrecker. So uh she thought this would impress Joy right off the bat and that they would be together, but it ended with her going to her room by herself. Daffodil still hadn't been in contact with Orchard since she blamed her for starting the empty house syndrome. She would be by herself. She still thought that it was Orchard's fault for wanting to be disabled rather than working on her own merit. She had a grudge that would last for 5 years. And that actually was true. When I was 23, my mom didn't talk to me close to, yeah, when I was 23, that was, no, I left at 22, 23. She didn't talk to me until 2000 and maybe 13 or 14. So yeah, 23, 24, 25, 28. Yeah, so roughly what before I reached my, yeah, when I was 28. Yeah, yeah. So 23 to 28, she didn't want to talk to me because she felt, well, I'm your mother, so you should not ever leave me. That's actually a very narcissistic way of dealing with your own problems. Okay, now Tony and Orchard had a tighter relationship than ever before. She told Teeny, excuse me. Now Teeny and Orchard had a tighter relationship than ever before. She told Teeny about Tony and her behavior and what she thought of her. They both agreed that she needed help, more help than she let on. As the days went by, Tony would try her best to win Joy over. Tony asked Orchard what she thought about sharing one person, like she would have a night with her and Orchard would have a night with her. What? I mean, was she a blanket or something? What did she have to wash her? What she wanted to wash her to? Like a blanket, right? It would be, you wash. So if I use a blanket and then Albert would use a blanket, we would wash it, right? But according to her, she would be like, okay, you sleep with him for a night, right? I will sleep with him Tuesday. You will sleep with him Wednesday. I'll sleep with him Thursday. So off and on like that. And I'm like, no, not like that. She did come up with about there's different hierarchies in a relationship where there was the wife was the head, right? Then there was the mistress, and then there was the side flank. So she wanted me to be the head, but she wanted to be the side flank. And I'm not sure why she wanted so badly to be the side flank. And it turned out now I know why. She wanted to get with Albert. And Albert was just not having it. So she was really, really, really upset that she was not getting Albert to actually want to date her, and she really was ticked off about it. Uh, what did she want to do? Wash her too? Like she was going to run dry or out of dating or something? So I guess she thought that she wasn't like good enough. I guess when you get older, you feel like a wet towel, right? Where you're moldy, you're old, you can't date nobody because who wants to date an older person? Not, I'm saying that people don't do that. I'm just stating that I felt like at the time, I was like, wow, she really feels like a wet towel blanket because she is just not getting the hint. Uh, what, like her pussy was going to run away or something? Yeah, like I teased that uh, she was going to chop each body part off and they were like scattered around, I guess, Los Angeles. That would be really scary. Uh, just drop off her body and be like, oh, You aren't being used, so I will find somebody else who will use me. Just pretty much what I just stated. You know, like, her arm would come off and say, well, you're not using me to whack off or something, so I will just run that way. So let's see here. Yeah, right. If pussies could talk, a lot of women would be ashamed and embarrassed by their owners. Yeah, a lot of pussies out there would probably be like, oh, damn, I was with this guy, I was with that guy, I was with this guy. Oh, wait, hold on. I don't want anybody to know. But if pussies could talk, they would actually try to tell the whole business to the entire world. Um, so let's see. Anyway, Orchard said that she didn't like sharing. Orchard thought it was unsanitary and you could get sick this way, and she didn't want to get sick. Orchard called her mom and said that Orchard was being a mean sister because she didn't want to share her girlfriend, well, boyfriend. So, yeah, she actually got mad that every time I didn't do something she wanted, she would call her mom and tell her mom, oh, she's not being a sister because she's not cooking for me. Well, I'm not there to cook for her. I'm there to help her, maybe. But she thought that she was talking to a big sister. So whatever her big sister did, she would be able to do too. So when she moved in, the I was coming out my room one time, and her worker at the time was like, "Oh, can I talk to you?" And I'm like, yeah, sure. What's up? And they're like, okay, so her meal menu is this. So every Tuesday and Thursday, she loves chicken. And I'm like, wait, hold up. What the fuck is going on here? And it turned out that they moved her in just like they moved Elmer in, thinking that I was going to take care of them. Why do they keep thinking that I'm going to take care of these people? You know? I mean, I don't understand why they thought that because I was there, I was going to take care of everybody. Like anybody who moved in, it was my job to basically take care of these adult people. No, I'm not there to take care of them. So technically, yeah. So like they would say, they'll show me. I guess I thought they were teaching me how to cook, and I'm like, oh, okay. Well, this is a good method, right? So then later, I get a knock on my bedroom door, like, hey Tosha, where's my meal at? And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, my worker showed you how to cook. And I'm like, yeah, because I thought she was teaching me how to cook for myself. I don't, I guess because I was in a disabled complex, I thought that they taught you how to cook. Clearly, that wasn't the case. She's like, no, 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 that was for me, for my meal. So where's my meal at? And I'm like, I don't know. Did you, do you cook? And she's like, no, they taught you how to cook to teach me to help me cook. So they were teaching you to take care of me. And I'm like, oh, no, 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 no. I'm not taking care of you. And she got pissed off and she called her mom. She's like, well, Tosha's not teaching me how to cook. Tosha's not doing this. Just like the worker stated, she doesn't want to be my sister. And I'm like, well, clearly I didn't know that that's what they were doing because they never told me that that's what was going to happen. So we had a sit down meeting. They're like, Tosha, do you hate Micah? And I'm like, no, I don't hate her, but I'm her roommate, and that's all I am. I'm not here to take care of her. I'm here to be her roommate, and that's all I'm going to be. But Tosha, you are so, Tosha, you are so mean. And I'm like, why do I have to take care of her? What is it that she can't do that her mom can't teach her? Well, she moved in here because she wanted to get away from her mom. And I'm like, yeah, okay, well, if her mom did a better job at raising her by making sure that she was able to take care of herself out in the real world, she would not be in this mess. But you can't blame her mom. I'm like, yeah, I can blame her mom because that's her mom. Her mom is supposed to teach her. She gave birth to her to teach her how to be an adult later in life because clearly when you're 5, you're going to be turning 25 sooner rather than later, right? So you have to teach her how to do stuff by herself. I told her the world isn't going to take care of her, right? So why does she think that I was going to help take care of her. And I guess that was a downhill slide that when I stood up to the workers, they did not like that. They were like, well, everybody else took care of her. Everybody else took care of her. And I said, well, I'm not going to do that. It's not my job to. I'm not getting paid to do that. You know, if you pay me, then maybe I can. But if I'm going to just be nice, do it. No, absolutely not. So that's when the mom was trying to figure out of how in love I was with Albert, because she was like, well, my daughter loves, you know, Albert. So she was trying to get me to tell her my she thought she was being nice. And I'm like, no, you're not being nice, right? I thought she was trying to get into my business, right? So she's like, no, no, no. I was just trying to be nice to you because I was trying to get to know you because Michael would be here. So I wanted to see if I could get to know you. I'm like, yeah, I don't really want to get to know you. And clearly, every time I don't want to either get to know somebody or have to take care of them, and I turn them down for taking care of them, apparently I am the stupid person. I am the more disabled person than I normally am. I have no idea. So, yeah, so later when she left, she decided to leave her panties as a souvenir for Albert just to make sure that Albert can call her back because he loves her big ass panties, I guess is what he called it. And they kept trying to blame me for leaving my her panties in the dryer. And I'm like, no, my ass is not that big. You know, it fell off last Tuesday sometime. And I still haven't found it. It's just not that big. It never was. Uh, so yeah. Okay, so yeah, I didn't like sharing. So girlfriend at the time, Tony had thought of Orchard as being a sister that she never had. Wow, how families grow in this environment. Tiffany asked Orchard if she was in love with Joy. Nah, she just didn't. She didn't love Joy at all. All she did was do everything for this woman. Really? I mean, love isn't really love. Tony tried having Orchard tell her about what types of music Joy liked or what she liked to eat. Ask her yourself. Darn. I mean, seriously. All she kept asking was, what's Albert's favorite music? And I'm like, well, why don't you ask him? Oh, he doesn't open up his door for me every time I try to talk to him. He doesn't want to talk to me. Well, clearly he did not want to talk to you. So why do you keep trying? You know? But yeah, no, Albert's favorite musician is Beyonce. I don't see it, but clearly I'm out of the norm, I guess. So Orchard was asked to help out Tony by cooking and cleaning up after her. Orchard said, hell no, just like I said, I'm not going to clean up and cook after her. No, 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 no. She was just a roommate. She didn't have to cook anything for her because she wasn't paid to do so. Since then, she and her roommate's worker didn't work well together because she didn't want to keep coming over and cooking for her. I don't know what is with these workers. They get into a job that they don't want to do. Don't do the job if you don't want to do it. If you're going to get hired to do a job, then do the job, right? But clearly, these workers like Shannon and like Micah's worker at the time, I don't even know what her name was, but they keep insisting that I take care of everybody. And I'm like, why do you have to take care of everybody? It's your job to take care of them, right? I mean, seriously. So, okay. So Orchard and Joy said that, so Orchard and Joy were hanging out with Tony, and Tony wanted to do something with her new friends. So Orchard and Joy said that they needed to go to the store. Tony asked if she could come with them. They said sure. Orchard and Joy were showing Tony around when she asked if they could go back to the house. Also, Joy didn't want her. She hadn't said this to her face yet. Joy said that she didn't want to do this. Okay, so there was a time when we were all supposed to be friends after the popping of the bra incident and before the time that she was leaving. She wanted to hang out with me and Albert, and we're like, okay, sure, no problem. So we went, I guess, to the 99-cent store, and she kept insisting that she wanted to go back to the house because she was a homebody. So she didn't do anything outside of staying at the house. And I guess she thought that by her stating that she was going back to the house, she thought Albert was going to go with her so that she could try to have sex with him again. And Albert said no. And she was asking me, well, can Albert come back to the house? I said, it's up to him. I'm not in charge of him. He can do whatever he wants. But if he doesn't want to do it, then he doesn't want to do it. So she went back to the house, and apparently Albert got a call from his worker, James, that she was so pissed off. She was like, well, I came out to hang out with my friends and they didn't want to hang out with me. And they asked me and Albert what we were doing to her. And I said, all we did was go to the 99-cent store. And I did not understand why this was a big deal. And apparently she did not want to go. And she said that we forced her to go. And we're like, no, we didn't force her to go. She wanted to go. She asked if she wanted to go. She asked us if can she go, and we're like, yeah, sure. And so we explained that to James, and he's like, clearly she didn't want to go at all, but she thought that by her saying yes, that Albert was going to like her more, and that did not happen. So she thought that by walking around the 99-cent store, he was going to go into aisles and they would like sneak kiss or something. I don't know, apparently. And it did not go to that extent, I guess. And so she got mad. Everything made her mad about Albert because Albert was not having it, not dealing with her. She kept being rejected, and she did not take rejection at all. Okay, so yeah. So Joy would go to the store. They said, sure. She hadn't said that to her face. She wanted to go back to the apartment and get it. She wanted to be out of the apartment to get some fresh air. So Tony said that she was going to go back to the house. Both Joy and Orchard agreed, and they said they would see her later. Joy got a phone call saying that Tony had called her mom again and telling her that Orchard was hogging Joy and that they forced her out of the house. Also, Joy didn't want her. She told her mom that she had asked Joy if she would like her mother to cook just for the two of them. Joy said that if Orchard wasn't there, then she wouldn't show up. They were later told that she had gone home and cried because Joy didn't seem to want to hang out with her by herself. She had wanted to stay at the house with Joy only. Joy told Orchard that they had to be careful around Tony. So because, like I said, she wanted to date Albert so badly that every chance she could come up with, she would come up with anything and everything. Right? Oh, my mom can cook for us, but it just has to be the two of us, right? Oh, we can go to the house and you can see my bra and panties. We already did. It wasn't styling, so guess what? Use out, right? So she tried everything. And so every time she kept being rejected, like I said, she just was not having it. So she kept crying that she kept being rejected over and over and over again. I would think that somebody would actually state to her that it was not going to happen, right? So we had to be careful around her because every time she did not get Albert's attention the way she wanted, she would grow and cry and say that I was hogging Albert. But since me and Albert were dating, yeah, I'm going to hog Albert because that's my man, right? I'm going to make sure that my man doesn't go to any other woman. And clearly he was not going to go to her anyway. But she thought that because she was kind of like a heavy set, that she had more body than me. And she was like, well, I have more to offer than she does. She's skinny broad. So why do you keep trying to chase her? I have everything that a woman could ever need that a man could ever want. So technically, why aren't you trying to go for me? And it just was like, nope, you know, it wasn't gonna be like, she just kept saying no. And she kept insisting that it was my fault because I guess it was my fault because I wasn't, standing up for her and trying to push Albert to her, and Albert would kept saying no. So clearly she had a mental issue. So yeah, so later that same day when they got back to the house, Tony and Joy were sitting at the table while Joy While Orchard went off to do something, Joy was kidding around with her, and Joy shouted about holding Orchard's hand. He always does stupid shit like that, and it kind of irks me a little bit. But yeah, he started. I went to the restroom, right, and I was in the restroom, and he said, "Oh, do you need me to hold your hand while using the bathroom, I guess?" And she said, "Well, I'll hold your hand." Okay, just kidding. She wasn't kidding. She actually really wanted to have him go into the bathroom with her and hold her fucking hand. And he was like, "No," and that's when he felt very uncomfortable and he called my name, and she hated that. She hated it because it was like, well, why, right? To her, it was like, well, everything I do should be cute and sexy, and I'm like basically throwing myself at you, and it's just not sticking. So it's sort of like the sticky hand, like you throw it and it just doesn't stick anymore because it has no stickiness, right? So you keep sticking it like, and then this way, and then sticking it, and then it just keeps bouncing back. Or if you have like an adhesive that doesn't like stick anymore, and you keep trying to stick it someplace and it just keeps falling off. So yeah, Tony said to Joy that she went on her. It freaked out Joy, and she began to scream to Orchard. It made Tony mad. The last and final time with the three of them was when Joy asked if she wanted to meet her friend. So we thought that by helping her, right, we thought that she should date somebody else. And at first she said it was A-okay, right? She wanted to date somebody, right? And we were like, okay, great. We have this guy, Yodi, that she could date, right? And Yodi was all for it. The two of us would make this match, right? We were going to be matchmakers. And she didn't tell us she never wanted to date Yodi. She never said anything about it. All she kept saying was, yeah, great, good, I'll meet him. And I guess at the time that before they decided to meet, she didn't want to meet him. She just wanted Albert. And she felt that insulted that he was literally pushing her towards somebody else, right? So in her mind, by stating that she wanted to date somebody else, she thought that would make me jealous because she thought that I was going to dump Albert at that time to date Yodi, and then she could date Albert, right? But in the sense that it came out that we were trying to get her to date Yodi rather than Albert. And Albert was trying to get her to date somebody else so that he would not have to keep dealing with her incessiveness, obsession of trying to date him. And later it would turn out that she would call her mom once again to state that, Albert still doesn't want me, still crying about it, still blubbering like, oh, he doesn't like me, he doesn't like me. I don't know why, I don't know why. And I guess that's when the mom was like, okay, girl, clearly he doesn't want you. And then I think at one point Albert stated that she asked, why don't you want to date my daughter? She's got a fat ass, she's got fat boobs. What more could you want? Right? And he's just like, oh, I'm too old for her. And she's like, well, how old is Tosha? And he's like, well, I can't disclose that information because I don't know. He's really good about doing that, about stating that, hey, look, I can't discuss certain types of information because the fact is, I don't know if she's okay with it. And she's like, oh, well, that rude girl. I'm just like, well, I'm not rude. I just make sure to hammer home exactly what I'm not going to do. And I guess that was the breaking point for both of them, that me and Albert were just the bad influences, that because of me just not trying to get out of Albert's way so that the daughter could be happy. And if the daughter is happy, I should be happy for her and that the world will be a better place. Well, guess what? No, 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 no. So yeah, I guess that was the straw that broke the camel's back, I guess. So she didn't tell the two girls that she never wanted it, but she did tell her mother that she was being set up with somebody that she didn't want to meet. She had really wanted Joy from the beginning to the end. She still didn't understand why Joy didn't want her. She was big and black with facial hair that could be declared as a cheetah pet. Could this be the reason? According to Tony, she could get anyone she wanted, but for some reason, Joy was always out of reach. At this point, that was when she got the picture that Joy didn't want her. She was pretty slow on the upkeep. It took her about 3 months for Joy to keep turning her down every day to finally get that she wasn't the top, predator or pussy that she thought she was. So when it came time for Tony to meet their friends, she told Joy that she had hoped that she would be the one to ask her out just for one day instead of the friend. This was the last day at the apartment, and Tiffany asked Joy how old she was, and she answered nonchalantly as possible that she didn't go around telling people her age. Tiffany, being the nosy mother that she was, asked her one final question: was she truly in love with Orchard? Tiffany told both of them that she had wanted Joy not just as a partner, but as a forever girl. So, like, you don't get married, but you're gonna keep dating for like the rest of your life, right? So she thought that, because, like I said, she had facial hair and she didn't want to shave it. And she would have been pretty if she had shaved it, and maybe she could have gotten what she wanted, but just how she just kept her behavior was terrible. So why would anybody want to date somebody like that, right? But I guess people had or hadn't. I don't know the full story, so I can't really tell you. But from what I heard was that she was not a good partner because as soon as she got what she wanted, then she'll dump them because that's the whole point of her. She loved the I'm gonna get you, I'm gonna get you, I'm gonna get you. And then as soon as she gets you, she's like, well, I have no idea what the fuck to do. So I'm just gonna be like, well, right? So yeah, so that was, I guess, at the final hour of her leaving and Albert telling her no for the final time. That's when she's just like, well, mom, I want to leave because he doesn't want to date me. And because he doesn't want to date me, I don't want to be in this apartment. I can't be with an apartment where somebody does not want me. The world needs to need me because I guess I'm so insecure about myself that I just need somebody to date me. You know? And I'm just like, wow, no one's going to want to date that. You know, something's going to happen to her that's, you know, I can't discuss, but something can happen to her if you keep throwing yourself like that. Some sleazy person who's, born every second, the bad people just, who are desperate and lonely and sad, just will commit a crime just to be with somebody, right? Will be the predator, right? And she will be the prey because she just keeps throwing her body all over the place. So I wish her luck in that endeavor, but still, you know, yeah, creepy. This, of course, angered the fat lady. Oh, yeah, I called her mom fat because I guess after a while your metabolism, I guess, slows down. I don't know if it's after pregnancy that your metabolism slows down or something. I guess it's just different bodies, different women. But I guess after you have kids, then some women just can't shed off the baby fat. There's always like a gut, or, you know, if they're bigger and they have a smaller belly, but because they're so big, they look bigger, right? That they just can't shed it off. So I guess that's what her mom was. But because a lot of times, uh, how her body type was, she was just big. Her mom was big. I'm not saying that every woman should be as big as she was, but she was big. So Joy told Tiffany that she was not into Tony and that her daughter was freaking creepy. This, of course, angered the fat lady, and she said that she would have very strong words with Garland House. So, yeah, so because Albert turned down her fat daughter and didn't think her daughter was pretty, the angelic daughter that she believed she was got rejected, and her mom was told off, right? Because her mom would have never been told off, right? So when Albert's like, "Yeah, your daughter is fat and ugly. I don't like," she was like, "Well, I'll have words with, you know, Holmes because nobody talks to me and my daughter that way. Why? Because you've been rejected. Because the parents were not together. So clearly there have been issues with intimacy in this family, right? The dad was not with the mom. The mom did have a very semi good relationship with her daughter. I don't know, but I didn't really care either. But because she wanted her daughter to have somebody, so she wouldn't die alone. I guess she felt like Albert was the ideal African American guy that would be with a typical black girl, right? So which they both got told off, I guess. Well, this just had to be done. Something just had to be done. Nobody tells a fat black lady what to do and how to do it, that is just it's yucky, right? Everyone was in agreement that they got this part of the conversation and that the feeling everywhere was not only mutual but frosty as a winter storm. It was so the tension there was like a thin line, right? I would think that the Snow Queen before Elsa, the Snow Queen would just be super happy with it, right? She said that her daughter was shy and she didn't know how to tell Joy how she felt. Wow, her her shy? Really? Not her. Did she really not know her daughter as well as she thought? Yeah, because she was like, oh, she's shy. She doesn't know how to say it. But clearly, every day of her entire existence in that apartment was every day was her. Oh, today I woke up and I'm going to get Albert. Today I'm going to make sure that Albert would be with me. And every minute of waking hour of every day for those 3 months that she was there was for Albert. But her mom didn't actually know just how deep dived she really was. Well, when she told her auntie all that had happened, including the time that Tony had broken her microwave, she didn't tell her about it. Instead, she put it on to the side and had her mom buy her a new one. She thought that Orchard would like this. Instead, Orchard told her very sternly not to do it again, not to put stuff where it didn't not tell her, right? To put stuff where she didn't tell her not to, right? Tony had thought that telling Orchard that they were like sisters would soften everything. This was part of the reason why her mother wanted to move her. Yeah. So because I would not cook for her, she decided to go off and try to use the microwave, right? My microwave. I guess our microwave. And she broke it. And she didn't tell me that she broke it because she didn't want me to be mad at her, I guess. So instead, I guess she decided that she would get a new microwave. And she proudly displayed it on the stand that I had in the kitchen. She was like, "Oh, Tosha, here is the new microwave." I'm like, "What happened to the old one?" I'm like, clearly I've been using that one. It hasn't broken on me. So why do we need a new one? And she's like, "Oh, I had to get a new one." And I'm like, "Why do we have to get a new one?" Right? Kind of like what the heck happened, right? And she's like, "Oh, well, it broke on me." And I'm like, "Because you don't know how to use a microwave?" And she didn't say anything. She just like, oh, how when somebody gets told off and they don't know what to say. She just was like staring at me with those eyes like a deer caught in the headlights. And she was thinking that I was going to be mad at her. I was just telling her sternly, like, what happened? Like, why would you not tell me, first of all, and then think I would be pleased that you try to throw out my old microwave? Because clearly, I don't know why you would just discard it to the side, on the side, and then think I would be so happy to see this new one. I mean, like, no, 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 no. If you break something of mine, yeah, you should replace it. But when you replace it, you should have told me. That was the thing that I didn't like, right? And that's why I kind of got, I guess, I got a little testy with her, and nobody had seen me testy up until that point. So they thought that that was my my yelling moments, my way of being more rude. And I'm just like, no, you broke my stuff. So if you're going to have your microwave, right? Clearly you don't know how to use a microwave. So I'm not gonna in the future, I'm not gonna have you touch my microwave, right? So if I ever get a microwave, I'm not gonna have you use it. But she thought that by replacing it, we would both be able to use this microwave, right? And I wouldn't want to touch it. So I didn't touch it. I said, okay, yeah, good for you. So I got my own new one. And I was using mine. And she's like, but this right here, Tosha, this is ours. And I'm like, no, that's yours. Just go ahead and use it. I thought I was being nice, but I said, oh, no, no, no. Because you bought it, I don't want to break it because you broke mine. So I'm just going to buy me a new one and I'll just use mine, right? And I guess it offended her because she thought that by her getting a new microwave, I'll be so pleased that I would use it and then I'll forget about the incident. I'm like, yeah, I forgot about it, but I'm not going to use your microwave. I would get my own. And clearly she was super offended by it. And she was like, oh, no, no, but it was for us. It was for us. And I'm just like, no, I just don't want to use it. I don't think I have to. But clearly she really wanted me to use it. And she wanted to see me use it so that she could feel like she did a good thing. And Albert told me later that she told him, hey, look, Tosha's not using my microwave that I bought her, right? That we were supposed to have used it together because we're sisters, we're family, right? That was fast. And I said, no, I don't think that I will be using it. And again, she called her mom, who called the mom called the worker, who then called my worker, and it became a whole tough. So I told my aunt that um, she broke the microwave and that she put it to the side and she got a new one. And even my own aunt was like, well, why is that a big deal? And I'm like, it is a big deal because it was my stuff and she didn't tell me she broke it. And she's like, yeah, but she bought a new one. Why did she have to tell you if she bought a new one? And I'm like, because the fact is that was my stuff. I don't go around touching your stuff. And if I break it, I want to let you know about it. I'm not going to keep it a secret. And she's like, well, you don't have to be so harsh on her, but I can understand why uh, you would be upset with that, but I don't see why the workers had to be involved. And I said that's what being disabled is. Being disabled is you have to get your worker on everything, right? Because sometimes you don't know how to do something, and your worker's there to help teach you what your parents could never teach you, right? Some of them are family to certain people, and some of them are just like a little side person, right? Where they would help you with little stuff and then they would go home and do their own stuff. So, um, yeah, just like I was like, why wouldn't you tell me, right? I was just thinking that why wouldn't you not tell me? But clearly she didn't want me to ask. It was like oh, I will place it, so don't ask, don't tell. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's not how that goes. Uh, she thought that Orchard would like this. Instead, Orchard told her very strongly not to do it again and not to put stuff where she didn't tell her to, not to. Tony had thought that telling Orchard that they were like sisters would soften everything. This was part of the reason why her mother wanted to move her. Orchard was really not a good sister, not a good sister, but Joy had just shut her out and sliced her into butter leg. So yeah, so how I read that kind of wrong. Yeah, it was like a knife, right? I was not the good big sister because I was like, big sisters get mad at their little sisters, but she didn't want to ever have a single fight with me. She thought that not fighting was a good thing. And I'm like, that's not communication, right? So like it was like slicing her like a butter knife because it was like, oh, Tosha's not a good big sister. She got mad at the little sister for doing something that clearly was an accident, right? And I was like, okay, so it was an accident. It was an accident. Okay, I understand that. But she was like, oh, I'm so wounded. It was like a knife cutting through her heart. And I was like, well, just put butter on it. Go ahead. Just put butter, soften the wound, cook it, you're good. Uh, She wanted her daughter to be looked after while also having a love relationship and being friends at the same time. You know, effed up family, effed up mom. Orchard's aunt thought that she was a little too stern on how Orchard had handled the situation. Really? Not her being nice? Really? She couldn't fathom the potential and possibility of such absurdity. Things worked out for her for a while until the dreaded day came when she met her match, the last roommate before she was to move to an even more intoxicated relationship with her current relationship. The girlfriend would be a shadow that would never go away, which to this day is still true. So, like, okay, so it's like me not being nice. I'm like, I feel like I'm always nice, right? And by her being shunned, right? It's like, and ruthless, I guess, how everybody's so afraid of the Hyatt. And I was like supposed to always protect her. I was supposed to cook for her, clean up after her. I'm like, if I wanted to be a maid, let me just, go out there, and do the work that most people don't want to do. So they make stereotypical remarks such as race to certain people, and I wasn't going to do that. But yeah, that was the last straw when I was like, don't touch my stuff. And everybody kept telling me I didn't have to go overboard with her. But I was just like, I just want to make sure that she understood, don't touch my stuff. That if she didn't know how to work it, just ask, right? Just ask me. And she never asked. If she thought I was such a good big sister, then why didn't she ask, right? To help, to teach her how to do stuff. If I was such a good big sister to her, then one should ask, right? And clearly she didn't, but she thought that because I was such still good big sister, that I would get over it and still have a loving relationship toward her, which I never did. That was the thing. I never loved her like a sister. I can treat somebody like something that they believe that they are when they're not really, right? But she thought that by me being nice and kind to her, that I loved her like a sister, and that the three of us would be a family, that she would date Albert, I would be happy with it, she would be getting a sister, and everything would be all fine and dandy. But because that did not happen, you know, she, was so upset that she finally just, said, I am out of here. Get me out of this stinking fresh air, which is actually a nod to Lindsay Lohan um, in the Parent Trap when she was a wee little tot. So yeah, so that's chapter 5. I think I discussed uh, my work for the internship. I also discussed my audiobook. I really hope that this will make me money because apparently I'm shelling out more money than I'm making. And I know the economy right now is really bad, but still, it would be nice to actually be paid for my work. People would appreciate my books that I'm writing. Book 2 would be out soon. I will check and see for the next time I do chapter 6. I will let you guys know. The audiobook, excuse me, audiobook would be for chapters. Well, actually, for the first book that I'm reading now, it'll just be a straight read through. Uh, I pay to have somebody read my book, just I guess like the Harry Potter series is an audiobook too. But Jim Dale did an excellent job on that. I loved his voice in that. Unfortunately, she made money. Fortunately for her, she made money. Unfortunately for me, I'm shelling out money because every person that would be able to help me out in each of these steps is not doing it. So I have to figure out a way to, I guess, help myself out. And the only way I know how to do it is come up with these people that I have to pay money to to help myself be what I want. And I'm just hoping that one day people will appreciate my work for what it is. Just that. I mean, just like that. So, yeah. Uh, Hope to see you in the live chats now that I actually unlocked everything to the public so that they can comment and do whatever they need to do. I'm hoping to get enough where I can get super stickers and super chats like Andy Signor and Steph the Alternerd. So let's just see how it goes. All right. Bye.